At exactly 4:47 a.m. on a humid morning in the Persian Gulf, an Iranian Moj-class frigate made a catastrophic decision in international waters 42 nautical miles southeast of the Strait of Hormuz. Without warning, without provocation, and without understanding the mathematics of what was about to happen, the Iris Sahand opened fire on the USS Porter. 4 Nor anti-ship cruise missiles erupted from their launchers. White exhaust trails carved through the pre-dawn darkness. The Iranian captain believed surprise would compensate for technological inferiority. He believed aggression would rattle American composure. He believed 53 years of revolutionary defiance meant something against a warship that processes threats faster than human thought. He was catastrophically wrong on all counts. The Iranian crew had trained for this moment. Months of drills, memorized procedures, war games against simulated American targets. Their doctrine emphasized speed and violence. Get close enough that advanced technology becomes irrelevant. Launch everything. Overwhelm the defenses through sheer volume. It's a reasonable strategy when you're outgunned. It's also completely ineffective against a system designed specifically to counter exactly this approach. The Sahand's officers had studied American naval losses. The USS Stark, the USS Cole. Ships damaged or destroyed when defenses failed. What they missed was the lesson embedded in those failures. Every American naval loss led to upgrades, better sensors, faster response times, more automated systems. The US Navy learns from defeats and rebuilds stronger. Iran's Navy learns from victories that happened decades ago and assumes the world stayed frozen. The USS Porter is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, Flight 2A, 9,300 tons of American naval power wrapped in steel and purpose. Her 4 General Electric LM-2500 gas turbines generate 100,000 shaft horsepower, enough thrust to push 509 feet of warship past 30 knots. But speed isn't her advantage here. Information is. Her AN/SPY-1D passive electronically scanned array radar detected those Nor missiles at 87 nautical miles. Before the Iranian fire control officer finished logging the launch order, before the missiles reached stable cruise altitude, before their turbojet engines even achieved full thrust. The Porter knew everything: launch point, trajectory, speed, time to impact. The Aegis combat system tagged each missile, assigned threat priorities, calculated intercept solutions, and prepared defensive responses in 11 seconds. To the Iranians, this felt like the opening move in a confrontation. To the Americans, it felt like pressing delete on an email they never wanted to read. Inside the Porter's Combat Information Center, blue light illuminated rows of operators at consoles. No panic, no raised voices, just the quiet hum of cooling fans and the soft click of keyboards. The tactical action officer confirmed weapon status. Surface-to-air missile batteries green. Close-in weapon systems active. Electronic warfare suite online. Every defensive layer ready. The Iranian missiles were still 14 minutes out. An eternity in modern naval warfare. Enough time to finish coffee. Enough time to systematically prepare 4 different ways to kill an incoming threat. Enough time to make the Iranians regret every decision that led to this moment. The Nor missile tells its own story about asymmetric warfare. Based on the Chinese C-802 from the 1990s, Iran reverse-engineered 60 missiles they had purchased before American pressure killed the deal. Now they manufacture their own. The Phase 2 variant travels at Mach 0.9, subsonic sea skimming at 20 to 30 meters altitude and dropping to 5 to 7 meters in the terminal phase. Its TJ-4 turbojet engine is an Iranian copy of a French design from decades ago. The 165-kilogram high-explosive warhead can penetrate ship armor, and its range extends to 130 kilometers. On paper, it's a credible threat. Against a cargo vessel with minimal defenses, it would be devastating. Against an Aegis destroyer, it's a test question with a predetermined answer. How does Aegis actually work? Think of it as the nervous system of the ship. The AN/SPY-1D radar is the eyes. 4 fixed arrays covering 360 degrees, tracking over 100 targets simultaneously while maintaining fire control solutions for each one. The combat direction system is the brain, processing radar data, evaluating threats, and making engagement decisions. The weapon control system is the hands, selecting missiles, calculating firing solutions, and launching interceptors. All of it integrated. All of it automated. All of it faster than any human crew could manage manually. The Porter wasn't fighting 4 missiles with 4 sailors. She was fighting 4 missiles with a supercomputer that thinks in nanoseconds and never hesitates. 4:52 a.m. The Nor missiles entered their cruise phase, leveling off at 23 meters above the wavetops, radar seekers active and scanning for the target signature. Iranian missile guidance relies on inertial navigation during cruise, switching to active radar homing for the terminal attack. The missiles flew straight toward their last known target location, making small course corrections based on their internal gyroscopes. Simple, predictable, exactly what American defensive doctrine was designed to counter. The Porter's electronic warfare suite detected their radar emissions instantly. Frequency, pulse rate, seeker characteristics, every detail cataloged. The AN/SLQ-32 system began soft kill measures, electronic jamming that made the destroyer's radar cross-section vanish and reappear at false locations. Ghost ships were projected onto Iranian radar screens. The missiles kept flying, kept searching, kept closing on a target that existed in 3 places at once. None of them real. The first layer of defense activated at 29 nautical miles. 2 RIM-162 evolved Sea Sparrow missiles launched from the Porter's forward Mark 41 vertical launch system. The ESSM is the middle linebacker of naval air defense. Mach 2-speed, 50G maneuverability, semi-active radar homing that uses the ship's radar to paint the target during the terminal phase. Each missile carries a 40.5 kilogram blast fragmentation warhead optimized for shredding cruise missiles. The ESSM uses thrust vectoring and tail controls for extreme agility and can pull turns that would crush a human pilot into paste. The missiles streaked upward, arced over, and dove toward their intercept points. Computer-calculated trajectories, meeting incoming threats with mathematical precision. Intercept. The first ESSM detonated 47 meters from Nor missile number 2. The proximity fuse triggered, and tungsten fragments traveling at supersonic velocity tore through the Nor's thin aluminum airframe. The turbojet engine disintegrated, control surfaces shredded, the missile tumbled end over end, its guidance system dead, before crashing into the Persian Gulf. No explosion, no dramatic fireball, just a $1.2 million Iranian weapon system reduced to scrap metal, sinking toward the sea floor. The second ESSM engaged Nor number 4 at nearly the same moment. Direct hit this time. The Iranian missile's warhead detonated in a flash visible on the horizon. 1 threat neutralized, 2 to go. The remaining Nor missiles, their program target coordinates unchanged, continued inbound, now 12 nautical miles out. The Porter's Aegis system had already shifted to the next defensive layer. 2 RIM-66 Standard Missile 2 Block 3B interceptors erupted from the vertical launch cells. The SM-2 is not a polite weapon. It's the long arm of American naval power. Mach 3.5 speed, 90 nautical mile range, semi-active radar guidance with an infrared seeker for terminal homing. The Block 3B variant adds that infrared capability specifically to counter electronic warfare and low-altitude threats. Each missile carries enough kinetic energy to punch through reinforced concrete. Against a subsonic cruise missile, it's massive overkill. The Aegis system didn't care about efficiency, it cared about certainty. The SM-2s climbed rapidly, their solid rocket motors generating thrust visible for miles. They pitched over at apogee and dove toward their targets at terminal velocity. The infrared seekers locked onto the heat signatures from the Nor missile's turbojet engines. No radar required, no jamming possible, just heat-seeking death accelerating at 4,200 kilometers per hour. The first SM-2 intercepted Nor number 1 at 8 nautical miles. The second destroyed Nor number 3 at 6.8 nautical miles. Both Iranian missiles vaporized on impact. The combined kinetic energy and explosive force turned cruise missiles into clouds of debris. 4 launches, 4 intercepts, 4 kills, 0 leakers. The math was absolute, but the Porter wasn't finished. The Iranian frigate that started this confrontation was still afloat, still radiating targeting radar, still technically a threat. The tactical action officer's voice cut through the combat information center. Target Iris Sahand, bearing 127, range 41 nautical miles. Authorization confirmed. Engage with SM-2. 4 standard missiles launched in rapid succession. The Mk-41 VLS can cycle launch cells in under 2 seconds. 4 missiles airborne in 6 seconds. Their mission wasn't defense anymore. It was punishment. The Aegis fire control system didn't aim for the waterline. That would be crude. The first 2 SM-2s targeted the Sahand's main fire control radar. The AN/SPY-1D had tracked every electronic emission from the Iranian frigate since the engagement began and knew exactly where that radar sat. The missiles dove from altitude, their blast fragmentation warheads detonating 30 meters above the target. Tungsten fragments shredded the radar array. Antenna elements collapsed. The Sahand's electronic eyes went dark instantly. Blind, defenseless, dying. The third and fourth missiles arrived 18 seconds later, targeting the ship's engine room. No warning, no chance for evasive action. One missile struck amidships, penetrating the thin hull plating before detonation. The warhead exploded inside the engineering spaces, and the shockwave tore through machinery. Fires erupted. The Sahand's gas turbine shattered. Propeller shafts bent. The second missile hit the same approximate location, ensuring total destruction. The frigate lost all power. Dead in the water, smoke pouring from ruptured compartments. The entire engagement, from the first NOR launch to the final SM-2 impact, lasted 8 minutes and 34 seconds. 5:03 a.m. The Sahand was sinking. Not quickly. The Mogi-class frigate's compartmentalization kept her afloat for another 37 minutes. Long enough for the crew to abandon ship. Long enough for the porter to maintain standoff distance and observe. Long enough for every sailor aboard the Iranian vessel to understand exactly how outmatched they had been. American helicopters would later assist with search and rescue, because that's what professional navies do, even when the other side just tried to kill you. The cost analysis writes itself with cruel clarity. Iran expended 4 NOR Phase 2 cruise missiles at roughly $1.2 million each. Total Iranian missile cost, $4.8 million. They lost the Iris Sahand, a Moog-class frigate valued at approximately $200 million in construction and equipment costs. Iranian casualties, 14 killed, 23 wounded. Total Iranian losses, $204.8 million, plus irreplaceable trained personnel and catastrophic morale damage to their surface fleet. The United States expended 2 RIM-162 ESSM missiles at $1.3 million each, 2 RIM-66SM, 2 Block 3B missiles at $2.4 million each for defensive intercepts, and 4 additional SM-2 missiles at $2.4 million each for offensive strikes against the Sahand. Total American expenditure, $16.2 million. Return on investment, complete destruction of an enemy surface combatant, a demonstration of overwhelming technological superiority, and 0 American casualties. The Porter's magazine still held 88 vertical launch cells loaded with various munitions. She could repeat this engagement 22 more times before requiring replenishment, but the real cost isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in deterrence. Within 6 hours, Iranian Naval Command issued orders pulling all surface vessels back to port. No more aggressive patrols, no more provocations. The message landed with the force of those SM-2 impacts. Challenge American destroyers in open water, and the mathematics become very simple. Your missiles never reach their target, your ships never make it home, and your sailors learn exactly what overwhelming technological superiority feels like when it's aimed at them. The broader implications rippled through regional naval commands. Within days, every nation with ambitions in the Persian Gulf received the same intelligence briefing. Satellite imagery of the Sahand's wreckage, intercept timelines measured in seconds, American defensive systems operating exactly as designed. For countries considering similar provocations, the lesson was unambiguous. Modern naval warfare isn't about courage or revolutionary fervor. It's about sensors that see everything, computers that calculate faster than human thought, and weapons that never miss. Iran brought 20th century tactics to a 21st century fight. The outcome was never in doubt. The Persian Gulf remained tense that morning, but it remained quiet. The Porter continued her patrol. Sensors active, weapons ready, course unchanged. Some lessons in modern naval warfare are taught with explosions and wreckage. This one was taught with the cold certainty that American defensive systems work exactly as advertised. 4 missiles fired, 4 missiles destroyed, 1 frigate attacked, 1 frigate sunk. The Iranians came looking for a propaganda victory and got a masterclass in why you don't pick fights with an Aegis destroyer. Sometimes the simplest lesson is the hardest one to learn. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe and share. Your support brings more untold stories of modern military operations to light.